what they would be sharing about their experience on the project. And so this one will be showcasing their works, so you will listen to them, talk about how much they've been equipped on the fellowship program, which actually this year focuses on sexual and gender-based violence. So I want to encourage everyone to sit back and enjoy the program. So welcome again. So we're going to start proper. All right, thank you, everyone. So I'm honored again to welcome you all to this closing event for the 2021 Report Women Female Reporters Leadership Program Fellowship. The Report Women was a number of reports about them in Nigeria. Designed in 2016, the Female Reporter Leadership Program, an addition to the Report Women initiative, took off in 2017 with the fellowship and other activities to address the poor fraction of women to men leadership in newsrooms across the country. It was also designed to create equal spaces to table women for female leadership position. The 2021 participants here today, we can see them across the room, actually on this side of the room, have implemented story and leadership projects and are driving change in the narrative on sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria and beyond. Impact stories published by them focus on a range of issues, including plight of female prisoners, sexual exploitation of displaced women, human trafficking, female genital mutilation, sexual harassment in the newsrooms, and delays in the administration of criminal justice system as it concerns sexual and gender-based violence cases in Nigeria. So we welcome you once again. It's my honor to do so. Welcome everyone to this special occasion. I want to again use this opportunity to welcome some special guests amongst us. I have here with us one of our mentors, Professor Abigail Ogwezi Indisika. She's a professor, Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos. I also have in the room Mr. Lekan Otufodunrin. He is the Executive Director, Media Career Development Network. He is also a mentor on the project. Mr. Paul Adeyeye, I'm sure is also here with us. Is the program coordinator Osiwa, that's Open Society Initiative for West Africa, now Open Society Foundation Africa. We are glad to have our funder in-house on this project. Okay, we also have with us this morning Mrs. Ton Okewale Shonaya. She's the Chief Executive Officer, Women Radio. Also, we have, do we have Mrs. Kadiria Ahmed, Director and Chief Executive Officer, Radio Now. Okay. So she will join us as the program goes on. I'm not sure we also have Mrs. Titilola Vivo Adeniyi. So we would introduce them as the program goes on when they arrive. So we are glad to have us all, particularly media practitioners here present, civil society, people from the civil society, the government, public and private actors here present. We welcome you very warmly to this event. Thank you so much. All right, now we'd like you to have a peek that's into some of the things that had gone on the Report Women Female Reporters Leadership program, just for you to have like an idea into what has gone on, the journey. So, we're going to be showing quite briefly the documentary, for a short documentary for the 2021 Female Reporters Leadership Program. Thank you.
Report Women Leadership Program of WSCIJ. It's a great platform to mobilize women to see the gender angle to things and to empower female journalists to work hard and move up the career ladder and get more women in leadership in the media.
It's very unique. It accommodates those gaps in providing leadership training for journalists.
In the last 6 years, every year they have a focus. You know, yes, it's all about raising a crop of female reporters to be leaders in their industry. But in so doing, they also recognize the various issues these female reporters should try and focus on.
The Report Women Female Reporters Leadership Program is a program that started in 2014 as the Report Women Program. Basically, we wanted to deal with two major issues, the issue of access and the issue of abuse that they had to do with girls and women. And on those issues, we wanted to increase the quantum and quality of stories about girls and women in the Nigerian media. The issue of access have to do with issues of economic access, access to education, access to healthcare, and access to political power, amongst other accesses that women have a right to. The issue of abuse have to do with domestic violence, other cultural practices like widowhood practices, female genital mutilation, and the rest of them, displacement of women. And basically, we wanted to increase the voice of women in all of these issues. And so we started with that. But as we went on, we realized that there was more we needed to do. The media was not living up to that standard that it was asking from others. We saw that many times when we had editors meeting, it was mainly a boys' club. There were just men in the room, or we would have one or two women. Sometimes they were just representing their bosses. So we thought that we needed to take the Report Women program to another level, which was the level of actually addressing the issue of leadership of women in our newsrooms. And so the Female Reporters Leadership Program equips female reporters with the capacity to be able to expect to be leaders. So we train them for leadership. We train them for advanced media reporting, because for you to be an editor or a leader of the newsroom, you have to be good with media work. And then we train them on gender mainstreaming, and including girls and women voices as experts, not just as victims in their reports. For the 2021 fellows, our focus is on sexual and gender-based violence in partnership with OSIWA, the Open Society Initiative for West Africa. And OSIWA is helping us to build up a group of women, an army of women who are passionate about reporting what has been tagged, the second pandemic in the COVID era, which is violence against women.
This project addresses the critical imbalance and exclusion of women in leadership positions in newsrooms across the country. The CIWA support of this project allows us to address exclusionary practices in newsrooms in Nigeria, provide their support to build a strong cohort of women reporters, and bring attention to the issues of LGBT and criminal justice sector challenges in Nigeria. Therefore, by organizing this training, the center has provided an avenue for facilitating effective coordination in female reporting. Most importantly, the network of female reporters, which this scholarship initiative will create, allows for a sustained solidarity and learning platform for female journalists.
At the beginning, they come very excited to learn, but through that process, they unlearn many things that they've learned before, and they acquire new skill. The good thing is that the reputation of this fellowship had preceded their coming, and the report is showing that the impact is really being felt in the media, and that's really very good.
Congratulations for making it. It's not easy. I'm so sad I can't be there. And I wasn't there from the beginning. And this is the very first cohort that I haven't been with. And I was really very sad, especially when I was with one of the previous winners from the last cohort on Sunday. She came with her family and we spent almost 3 hours together at my home. And that's actually what this platform does. It helps us with connections. It helps us to, come out of our comfort zone and move within us to all the talents and all the strength that we already have internally. So it's a privilege to be part of the cohort for this cycle. And I really congratulate you. Have you been enjoying yourself so far?
Yes. This year, they decided on sexual and gender-based violence. And then based on the discussions on their own, they picked on assignments which they are to investigate, because this is all about developing their investigative skills, and they picked up, they were assigned mentors who guided them for 3 months, August, September, and October. And it's been exciting for me, it's been exciting because in this 25 years of working, one thing I've realized that works very well when you're advocating for zero tolerance for violence against women and seeking justice for survivors is that there's need for synergy between NGOs and the media.
As journalists, you mirror the society. You educate the society. So when you do a story one-sided, based on a narrative, it's called framing. And it's not good for our credibility.
There are fake stories.
Yes.
There are stories that are not original, just to cover yourself. If you say, for example, you work at Premium Times, I said, Punch on so reported that this person says so.
So that if there is a problem, they will say that you quoted Punch. And then they'll go and look for Punch. Grab that Punch newspaper and see whether it's Josephine's name. Okay, Josephine wrote this story. Then they'll come after Josephine and not you.
Find somebody
who is credible, and slant it in such a way that the health authorities, people from the Ministry of Women Affairs, even maybe the First Lady of that state can become interested in the whole story. So you shift the slant from the negative to the positive, and then, add the underlying problems as part of the bigger picture.
Break down your big goal into smaller objectives so that you have clarity on where you are going. So be able to summarize your big vision into a one-line statement is very important. Source mapping, extremely crucial. Every story has a gender angle. So make a list of all the kind of human beings that you will need. And generally, those people are in blocks of authorities, government, private company heads, non-governmental organization heads, people who have done similar things, colleagues at the office. Just map out sources depending on the issue that you are dealing with. Those are human sources, but also map out document sources, so that it will help you to actually do investigative story and get a budget.
I came in here, I thought I knew about reporting women, because that's what I've done for over these years. But when I came in here, sat there and listened to the facilitators talk to us, I just discovered I have not started. Because I learned so many things I knew I was doing wrongly, and now I know how to do it better.
It feels like they are reaching deep into my soul, purging me of all the things I should unlearn, and filling me up with new knowledge that is important for my growth. We are having realistic conversations about the newsroom, about the place of women in the newsroom, about the reportage of women in the news, and what we can do to get to make it better. We are having relatable conversations that revolve around, and it's clear that a lot of thoughts went into creating the content we are being taught, went into selecting the facilitators that we are having, and the entire program. And for that, I do appreciate the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism.
Now, it's not enough for one to come up with slides and talk to participants at a training, but when they share these life experiences that they've lived, then it brings you to reality, and you'd understand that you're living history. You're not reading this in history books, but these are things that they've been able to see through to the end. So it's really been impactful, it's rewarding, and I'm honored to be part of this.
It's going to push me in the right direction of writing stories that would have a direct impact on the marginalized people in the society, writing more gender-based stories, or even looking at things from a gender lens, ensuring that there's a balance in gender reporting.
Sometimes as journalists, we might just rush to report the story, but now I know that I need to be much more deliberate and much more careful with gender issues, especially when it comes to sexual, gender-based violence. I just can't report anyhow. Training makes you a well-rounded journalist, and not just a journalist, a leader in journalism, and not just in journalism, just generally.
As journalists, the routines can make you forget why you're doing what you're doing, or why you got into gender reporting in the first place. And this training gave me the aha moment of reminding us of why it's actually a mandate for journalists to report women and report them well.
In spite of my years in broadcasting, I would say I'm taking so much away from here. The things about the conventions, things about how to report it, how to be a bit more gender sensitive. The leadership aspect of it also is profound. Sometimes you work somewhere, you don't think so much about it, but it's an eye-opener that you need to be assertive and stand as a leader in the place you work also.
I especially enjoyed learning from the fellow participants, from their experiences on the job, and the stories were really interesting and challenging, stimulating me to do more. So when I see things that ought to be done, instead of leaving it for those in authorities in my newsroom to do, or those that have the title to do, I can step up and fill in the gap and do something and not wait to be given the title to act.
For me, I'm now going to be interested in reporting sexual and gender-based violence cases. So even apart from, yes, the office wants this, but personally, I'm going to find that time and go the extra mile to actually look for some of these cases and not just report these cases because we're taught to report until something happens, which is the rush principle. So now I'm going to follow up with the relevant agencies until something actually happens.
Do we have women who are submissive enough, but at the same time strong enough to say, okay, if I've agreed to do this for the sake of my children, how am I going to do it in such a way that it will benefit me at the end of the day?
Food for thought.
Just a parting shot.
Yeah.
Just a parting shot.
But the conversation continues tomorrow.
Certainly.
Is indeed a defining moment for me for the next level of my journalism career. It has broadened my view, on issues of gender-based violence, that these issues keep occurring on daily basis, but they appear to be underreported. So with this consciousness, I'm going to be more deliberate this time. I have taken it as a challenge, to go out there in River State to create more awareness and to ensure that we give it a voice.
There's a world of stories that we can do. We can look at the institutions, how weak the institutions are that make these laws, unable to midwife the abused through the process of getting justice to the place of victory. Going forward, one of the things I have learned here is how journalists would have to partner with NGOs working on sexual and gender-based violence to not only tell the stories, but then to get justice and to get some kind of reprieve for the survivors. So going forward, I'm going to be deliberate, especially anywhere there are women and girls. And I work in the Northeast where we have a lot of conflict-affected women. So I am going to look out for any issues of SGBV where I am, and I'm not going to just stop at writing the stories, but I'm going to be taking side, but then of course on the side of truth, and I will ensure that I don't only tell stories, but I will pursue the story to a logical end, which is justice.
So Anita, Blessing, you come next, Bolanle, and then Chioma.
I have a timeline for the execution of the project.
If you're a journalist, you feel alone. If you're an investigative journalist, you feel more alone. Then if you're a female journalist, you feel like the issues that you're going through are peculiar to you. And coming to see that you are not alone in all of these issues was a big eye-opening moment for me. So my major takeaway is to replicate the community. This is a community that has started. So I feel like if we all go back and replicate the community into smaller sects, it will help to expand the conversations, to expand the coverage, and also to expand the solutions that we're trying to build from this place.
There are good stories to write, and that's why it's supposed to be balanced. And if you also give information and you don't expose what you should not expose, next time when you go, they will give you information. I mean, like some of the stories we're hearing, some of them did not know that the magnitude was this much, which is also very significant. As a journalist, you just cover some of these things. But they are now even feeling that they need to do something about it. They are not only writing about it, they are feeling compelled. We are moving beyond journalism to advocacy level, which is very, very important for journalists. So this topic, it's been on, we are reinforcing it, and we are providing more advocates, more people to champion the cause. Because if we are going to win this campaign, we need more people.
A lot of these young ladies, I am sure they have stories. I have my stories to tell. You have a story to tell. Various storylines cutting from community response to sexual and gender-based violence to cases of sexual abuse that resulted in pregnancy, domestic violence, sexual harassment in schools, name it. Beautiful investigative stories they've done, and coupled with this is step-down trainings that they have done in their various media houses. very commendable, I would say.
How else can we develop a nation if not through programs like this? Encouraging those already there, showing them how to navigate through the murky waters of the politics within the newsroom, how to work in a male-dominated environment, and even the networking. They are forming almost like a block that can help one another. So far, I can say that these ladies are delivering, and we can only wish them the very best in all that they do. And I'm very confident that they're going to go places beyond the newsroom, even impacting the society as well.
The main intention of the law is to protect. It's not to punish.
We are looking to having the reporters who have gone ahead to do great work in terms of covering, domestic violence, covering the state of the laws as they have to do with girls and women, empowerment in different states. They've also covered, issues of rape, very significantly. They've gone on, some of them, to support their media houses to better understand these issues. Many of them did step-down trainings. Some of them called their media leadership together to actually reorientate them about issues of sexual harassment, even in the newsrooms. And so we hope that in future we can build on it. Presently, we're already doing a lot about this. In partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we're doing the Report Women Female Reporters Leadership Program, News and Newsroom Engagement, in which we're engaging with media leaders to see the value of empowering female reporters and ensuring that female reporters have access to leadership in their news and in their newsroom. We are also building a source guide of female experts across many thematic areas that would help reporters have on hand contacts of female experts they can get in touch with in case they need to speak to experts on news. And finally, on the program, we're doing our champions building, which is helping our alumni to better do the stories that they have learned to do and projects of leadership that they have learned to do. In all, we hope to be able to very intentionally change the landscape of the face of leadership of women in news and newsroom to be as female as it is currently male.
No doubt, going by the video we've just watched, it's clear that the Female Reporters Leadership Program is one that had so much impacted the participants, all 21 of them. And so to take off this morning, I'm going to be inviting to the platform here, I'm going to be inviting a very intentional person. I'm sure all 21 fellows will be able to say, well, they have an idea of where I'm going. So I'll be inviting the Executive Director, CEO, Wole Soyinka Center, Motolayo Alaka, for the opening remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all our guests. Thank you so much for making it here, despite Lagos issues. We used to just say Lagos traffic, but now it is also Lagos as a construction site. It has complicated the matters. Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm very happy. I'm extremely happy today. I feel like I'm having a birthday. It is that important to me because many times, like I always say, you write something on paper or you think about it. That is one thing. You dream about it for many years. That's another thing. But to actually live it and actually see it happen and see the people and 4 years down the line to see how a group of people come for an exposure. It's maximum 6 months long, and it looks like their lives totally change. So it's amazing for me to see. I was telling some of the, I think I can now call you fellows. I was telling some of the fellows that would be properly inducted soon that you know, I am celebrating today because all of their celebration is my celebration. And it is just amazing to see. And across the years, not just this year's, I mean, around the room we can see, you know, some of our other fellows from past years, and they are doing well. They are doing very, very well. And on the issue of women in leadership and women being recognized in society, you know, as humans, because that is the challenge. At some point, some people refuse to recognize us as human beings. They just decide that we are less than that. On that issue, for me, I had always just said, you know, it's one thing for us to discuss that this room is dark, this room is dark, this room is dark. At some point, someone has to get off, you know, they are behind, and actually really find the switch and put the light on. And that is what intentionality is about. We can't keep discussing how women are not in political leadership. We would need to insist that this is what it is. And nobody should tell us that there are no competent women. Because if competency is the issue, then I think most of the offices should be empty. Because we have to deal with competency issue separate from, you know, representation issue. Because the men there have not been competent. They are there. So let's get the women there. First, it is when the woman wants to be there, they'll say, but what is our competence? Well, let us start from getting them there. That is my belief. But I'm excited that we're not just dealing here with, let's get the women there. We're also dealing with women, ladies who are extremely competent, who know what they are doing, who know their worth and know their work. And I have just found that many people, many of them are in your newsrooms, many of them are in organizations that you're working in, many of them are neighbors. They just need that person to remind them that they can, because all their life society had told them that you can be seen, you cannot be heard, that is it. But they just need somebody to remind them that you actually can do more than be seen, you can actually make a difference. And all of the ladies in this room that we're inducting today, they will soon come here to tell you their story by themselves. They are making a difference. Yes, it's a good place to start, clap. They are making a difference. They are making a difference not just in the newsrooms, but they are also making a difference in society. Some of them, within this time of engagement, went on, you know, they will tell their own story, went on to register their leadership project during this program as organizations. We're talking between July last year and now. So they are making a difference. Some of them have engaged their media leadership. Many of them have changed jobs. One of them just told me, oh, you wrote my former organization. I said, but you people change jobs immediately after the program. Why? Because they just realized that they want more, and they can be more, and that nothing has actually been stopping them from being more. So, I mean, some speeches in the program, I don't want to go over the things that we have said again, but just to, you know, say, Dushima Veronica Abu, Abimbola Adegboyega, Adetola Bademosi Adenaikin, Khadija Ishak Bawas, Koforola Bello Osage, Imaobong Dem, Anita Eboyegbe, Chioma Ezenwanfo, Titi Lokwe Olayemi Fadare, Aneta Felix, Ann Chuka Godwin, Osaruname, Ibizugbe, Basi Ita Ikpang, Madeline Michael, Kimberly Nwachukwu, Bolanle Olabinton, Temitope Oluleye, Bukola Samuel Wemimo, Zainab Oyiza Sani, Blessing Tuno, Jennifer Adaeze Ugwa. You all count, you all matter, you all are making a difference, and this is just the beginning. Again, welcome everyone.
someone also very important come in, and that's the person of Ejibade Mosi. He's the Executive Director of TV 360, and will be the host for this event. So you all will agree with me that without this okay, you all will agree with me that without the support, the contribution of our funder on this project, that's the Open Society Initiative, Open Society Foundation Africa, it will have been very difficult to be able to achieve this event and indeed the fellowship itself. So I'll be inviting the representative of the Open Society Initiative, Open Society Initiative for West Africa. Sorry, the difficulties because of the change that happened quite recently. So it's making me have to go over the name again and again. So I'll be welcoming to the lectern here, the representative of the Open Society Foundation Africa, to come and give his own remarks. That's the person of Mr. Paul Adeyeye, program consultant for the foundation.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, before I give my remarks, I must confess very honestly that this is not a regular kind of room. And, since we got the invitation, I've been worried about how to present this, So I'm just open about that. I also say that I've been reading through the reports, I've seen some of the publications, and particularly I've been endeared to this project. When I came here this morning, I realized that it's even beyond that. For example, from the representation on the selection for the trainings, I'm so excited. And I would say the last time I was here in this building was in 2019. And I was then working as a research analyst for the Interactive Initiative for Social Impact, that's Datafight. And then I was attending one oil and gas summit. And then in the room, I was just like the youngest person there, and I could not see a lot of young people. So when I saw that the composition of the people who are being inducted today is full of young people, I'm kind of excited about that. And I want to say thank you for that selection. The other thing I've told myself is that if I get so scared when presenting this in front of women, I'll remind myself that in our new structure, in the new transformation, 30% of our budget actually goes to women. And if there's something to learn, it's how to be comfortable sitting with a room dominated with women. So I think that absorbs it. Yeah, so I'll give my remarks. But before I say that, I'm here with my colleague, Amarachi Ndokwe. She's a woman too. So I am very excited to join this event today, and I want to especially appreciate the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism for this privilege, and particularly for ensuring by all means possible to get us into the room. Like I said, I'm here with Amarachi, and we bring greetings from the Open Society Initiative for West Africa. We also congratulate you on this milestone. At the Open Society Initiative for West Africa, I'm sorry, it's still the Open Society Foundation for Africa. We're using both names interchangeably. We've had a long chain of endearment to Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. We've always appreciated the very impactful and inspiring work of the center, both in demanding accountability and safeguarding democracy in Nigeria. We know the center to stand out as a spectacle of the ID newsroom, in the ideology, orientation, innovativeness, and approach. But our endearment grew when we received the proposal from the center, and the proposal not only, had a very impactful intervention, it also was, it was evidence-based, and we were happy to see the report that women were underrepresented in these rooms across the country. So it was also central to our own pursuit of open society values of equity, accountability, and media independence. That explains why we collaborated on this project. At the risk of sounding overly repetitive, because a lot of people have said that, it remains a fact that the media is central to the pursuit of democracy and development. Beyond the traditional roles of being the watchdog of democracy, the media has also evolved to be a beacon of hope to the common man. In our country, the media has not done less, and we the people continue to find hope and reassurances in the few Nigerian newsrooms that maintain commitment to accountability journalism. Yet, like some of you would agree, Nigerian media landscape has been increasingly dominated by male voices, especially at leadership levels. I doubt if I'm in any place to describe the consequence of this, but we all know that women had the high scene, and many times the human perspectives, and very often the angles that seem sometimes human, extremely emotional, sometimes, but very crucial to development and to a full narration. Our support to Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism was just to address the death of women in top leadership positions in newsrooms across Nigeria. In the implementation, the project did not only advocate for inclusion of female voices, it was also strategic in addressing the fundamentals that will make women as competitive as their male counterparts. Although at incubation, the project seemed very ambitious, yet the leadership of Wole Soyinka Center through Ms. Alaka have demonstrated and actualized this ambition and have shown the very dynamic power and potentials of female leadership. 21 women reporters across different newsrooms have been mentored, and today is a testimony of the cross-cutting impact of the project. Once again, I congratulate Wole Soyinka Center and the Guardians under the vibrant and resourceful leadership of Ms. Motunrayo Alaka. On a personal note, I've benefited from some of the outputs of this project, like I've said, from the progress report to some of the human-centered narrations on the plight of women across the country. This project has practically demonstrated its commitment to amplifying some of the deep-rooted social justice concerns in the country. I've read about Felicia, for example, a victim of the Fama-Eda conflict in Benue. I've also read about 21-year-old Mineta, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name very well, who narrowly escaped sex trafficking. The narration on maltreatment and neglect in Nigerian prisons is another output that I've been privileged to read. These narrations, amongst others, though emotive, very honestly, project the dead social justice concerns in the country, as well as the others that we must collectively weather. At the Open Society Foundation for Africa, we are resolute in our pursuit of equity, justice, and respect for human dignities and human rights. We continue to support initiatives and interventions like this, and in the next 5 years, we are committing 30% of our budget to supporting, campaigning, and demanding inclusivity, equity, and improved living conditions for African women. Our goal is to see women thrive and reach the peak of whatever career they venture into. We also want to see a world that is more respectful and receptive of women and their rights. Once again, we congratulate the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism on this feat and reiterate our high faith in the partnership. We also congratulate the award recipients and all those who have participated and benefited in this project. I welcome you once again to this event, and thank you so much.
It's like I've put on weight. Well, I sincerely apologize for coming late. Yes, so sorry. My car just started overheating. Yes, so I had to stop several times on the way. I'm so sorry. This is not the usual Nigerian excuse, please. I'm sorry. Honestly, this is the first time I'll be in a gathering of women. I have children, and my children are all girls. And yes, so you can imagine how happy I am to be in the midst of women. And I can't say how important this initiative is. It's really important. And I believe that must have been stressed by previous speakers. But I want to tell the ladies here that you're all lucky to be part of this initiative. And I hear a lot. I hear a lot about women being underrepresented in the newsroom, and that's quite true to some extent. But sometimes when I take a look at my own organization, I ask myself if that is true. Because what I get in my own organization is, I get these complaints from the men, yes, that women are taking over. But indeed, and it's quite true, you look across our newsrooms all over, whether it's radio, print, broadcast, there's no question at all that women are underrepresented. And this initiative is very important because it empowers our women folk and then gives them the opportunity to take over the industry. So at the end of this event, we're actually, at the end of the event, we would have produced 74 fellows, 13 winners, and 1 commended work across cohorts in the past 4 years as it continues to grow. And this is quite, yes, 74 fellows, 13 winners, and 1 commended work since 2017 when this initiative began. It's huge. It's huge. So we're building a network of very powerful women in journalism. And these women are obviously, they're coming up to take over. So the men had better watch it. So the soon-to-become fellows were not alone on the journey, as they followed in the footsteps of those who have gone before them. So I would like to invite the Public Relations Officer now of the Report Women FRLP Alumni Network, Abosade Omorui, who of course has gone before you all, who will be inducted here today. I would like to invite her to please come forward for a brief remark. Can we put our hands together for her, please?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it gives me great pleasure to be here. I was once like this, and it's a great honor to be here today addressing us on behalf of the Report Women Network. Okay, I'm really elated about this, actually. Seeing this first row, the second rows, and all the wonderful faces there, and the very amazing impact they've made in our lives individually and collectively. It's really amazing. And I believe it's a great family. So let me get straight to business. I stand here to speak on behalf of the Report Women Network. You can call us RE1. But first, I want to say big congratulations to my 21 co-fellows as you're inducted into the Report Women Network today. And to the drivers of this laudable, life-changing program, the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. How can we thank you enough? There are no words ready. The Report Women Network was established in 2018 as an offshoot of the Female Reporters Leadership Program. It has as its mission advocating equitable reporting and female leadership in the media. I must confess, we here do not take it lightly to ignore the voice of women in our reportage. So with intentionality, we drive the cause of women. From the 14 Pioneer Fellows inducted in the year 2018, the membership of the network has risen to 74 today. That's amazing, isn't it? And as you all know, this set being inducted today is the 4th set, and we're excited at how we as RE1 are growing and evolving over the years. This crop of distinguished females in media are women of substance making a difference in their sphere of influence. The Report Women Network, I assure you, is a great place to be. We are a company of women with great minds, a company of positive thinking female journalists committed to the cause of better representation for women and girls in the media. This fellowship sharpens your leadership skills. I believe you can attest to that fact. I'm bold to say that Nigerian journalism, that we all at Rewon members are women achievers in Nigerian journalism and beyond. We collaborate, we share ideas, we support one another, and we grow together, not forgetting the men, of course. It's a good place to be because it broadens your horizon. And I congratulate you all once again and assure you that change has started. Change has begun because you will not remain in the same place you were before the fellowship. I welcome you 21 new fellows into our midst and look forward to great contributions and collaborations from you. The Report Women Network is on Twitter as Report Women. And we urge you to please follow and tag us in your tweets as we all do this great business together. Again, congratulations to you all.
Thank you, Abosade. Now, for the 21 fellows who will be inducted today, you wouldn't have gotten to this stage at all without the support, very vital support of your mentors. Mentors play a very key role in shaping people. And these mentors, I believe, have been very wonderful. I mean, I've just seen the list of the mentors, and you couldn't have gotten better mentors, honestly. You could not have gotten better mentors. So without these mentors, you would not be where you are today, and you probably may not get to where you're going to. So let's hear from the mentors now. I'd like to invite Professor Abigail Ogwezi and Desika to please come forward and talk to them.
Let me adopt the protocol already laid. I can see all the ladies beautiful and smiling. It's not been easy, but I think that the stress was worth it. Today is a day of joy. Good things are not easy to come by. We have had our time, you know, during the residential programs. Some of us told them that they are seeing the best of us there, that after that time there will be no smiles. You know, when you want to get something good, you have to be hard, you know, to get it. And today they're all smiling. They're amazing. They've done us proud. We thank you for submitting yourself to our leadership, to our mentoring. And I also want to thank the funders and to thank WSCIJ. The intentional woman, she's very intentional. And the intentionality has brought about this result. First, we started, it's a long journey. I was just having a side talk with the founder and MD of WFM, that the screening process was a very strict one for you to come out with this. And I think by the time they come up to tell you what they have done and you see what they have done, you know that their leadership skills, they've really honed their leadership skills under this program. And I congratulate you. I used to tell my students that when you take your certificate, it's not meant for your suitcases. You have to use them. You have to use them. So now that you have the skills, you are doing great things. Our concern for you, which I want to bring from this side of the table, is the sustainability. You know, it's not just an activity. By the time you sustain it, it will begin to make impact. WSCIJ had followed this for about 4 years. This is the 4th cohort. And if they were not intentional, they could fall by the wayside. But at every point in time, they kept projecting what is the next step, what is the next step, and together we're here. I congratulate you, and I implore you to continue to be a shining star and to be a good representative of this project. You know, when you carry a badge in the university, will tell you that you are being given your certificate on 2 grounds, academics and character. And WSCIJ is a good brand. You are carrying a good badge. And because you are carrying a good badge, you cannot afford to, as we say it in Nigeria, fall our hands. At every point in time, you must stand upright. You must stand for the values, the core values of what the female leadership program is all about. And we also believe that you can replicate this. This is a community. And you know, by the time you raise one, another one raises one, that one raises one. So, you know, it snowballs into something good. The MC just said that, or director of ceremonies, they said we should stop calling them masters, or we should be calling them directors. So the director of ceremonies said that in his organization, that you have more women. Director of ceremonies, sir, are there sticky floors or they've broken the glass ceiling? So what we're trying to do with the Female Leadership Academy is to ensure that we don't have them as sticky floors. You know, people who are just at the lower cadre, but to have them aspire to the top echelon of the media organizations, and that is what we want you to do. We also implore you that having gone through this, you know what you have been through. I used to tell my students that most of the things I went through as a student, I don't want them replicated on students. Some of those things are issues maybe of missing results. You talk about gender and gender-based violence, it's everywhere. It's not just in the newsroom, it's in every sphere of human endeavor. Now, as you get to the top, try as much as possible to ensure, like some of the things that we said there, to ensure that they have policies and they have grievance response mechanisms. Now you have a voice, you have been so empowered, and that's why you can change jobs. And so try as much as possible to ensure that the rights of women and girls, you know, are protected in where you work, in your communities. And also try as much as possible to ensure that the media contents will have their voices. The ED just said something about leadership, and saying that when they talk about leadership or women in decision making, they will tell us that they are not competent. We know so many men that are not competent. So we should begin to tell positive stories. We should begin to project narratives that will protect women and girls and project them for leadership position. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. The women in my organization are actually shattering the ceiling. Yes. We don't have a cleaner who's a woman. So, yes. And some of you here can attest to that. Yes. Let's hear from another mentor now, Mr. Lekon Otufodurin.
Good morning. I also want to adopt the existing protocol. And if this was going to be in a court, I would have said I align with my colleague, allied colleague, like my. But I'll chip in a few words. I want to begin by thanking the funders for making this possible. It's one thing to have an idea, it's another thing to have it implemented. So thank you for doing this, and we hope that you do more. I want to thank Wole Soyinka Center, led by the intentional woman. It's one thing to complain about problems in the media, it's another thing to fix it. And that's what she has done. She's not just done it from very superficial level, she's done it intentionally and year after year. I count myself privileged because I've been a mentor on this program from the beginning. So when you have 74 fellows, they are also my fellows, you know. So when I write my CV about people I've mentored, this 74 would be among them. So I want to congratulate you for coming this far. It's something that I think you should cherish. I remember that, especially when we had this particular set, many of them said they were waiting to get into the room. So this fellowship has become something that people are waiting. Even this year, I'm sure that people are waiting. It has changed lives. We tell people, like they say, beware, this will change your life. I'm looking through that list of these fellows. At least a third of them have changed jobs. They've impacted. Things have really changed. So I think we should do more of this for the media. So once again, thank you, Wole Soyinka, for doing this. For the fellows, as you join the network, I'm on the group, the WhatsApp group for the fellowship, the senior fellows. So as you join, you welcome me to that group. You see the advantage. It's just starting. This fellowship is just starting. You enter that place and everything you want. Sometimes we need to slow them down. So if you are working in your newsroom and you have a challenge. I need this. Just drop in that WhatsApp group. You get the response. You know, you get everything you want. You find collaboration. So the fellowship continues. So this is something that you should cherish. I'm glad I've been part of this. And like Prof said, the best thing we can do is to replicate this. Everybody cannot get into the room. I remember one day somebody asked Moturayo, how do you select 20 people from 100, 200 applications? It's a tough one. So everybody will not get to this fellowship, but you have the responsibility to go back to your state, to your newsroom, and applicate. So once again, thank you and congratulations.
$146 applicants, not an easy one at all. And honestly, to pick 21 out of the 146 is even a tougher job. So if you're part of that 21, you're very lucky. Please, can you clap for yourself? So 146 applicants, 142 of them from Nigeria, and then the others from, we got applications from Spain, Uganda, Kenya, and the Gambia. So out of the 142, out of the 21, selected, those 21 were selected from 10 states across Nigeria. 10 states. Now, out of the 21, 13 were selected from the broadcast media. And then we had 5 from online media, and the remaining 3 from the print media. Not an equal distribution, but there's a reason for it. And of course, those who did the selection must have their reasons for that. But then it's wonderful that 21 of you would be selected out of 146. And I believe by the next time the applications are opened, I believe there will be more applicants, probably 200, 300, and going forward, we're going to continue to have more. So the 21 of you who are being inducted today, please take this as a very, very special privilege. And after the program, make sure you make an impact. I've seen people who attended programs like this, and after that, it ends. So we would want to see the impact in your newsroom, your organization, in the stories you tell, how you tell these stories, how impactful these stories are. It's not enough for journalists to tell stories. We must tell stories that will change society, stories that will make enormous impact, not just tell stories. Longest time.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so this is very significant. And before I start, I want to sincerely thank the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism for this opportunity, and also for the mentors for the training and all that you've taught us. So because of timing, let me just go quickly. So, all that you've taught us. So, because of timing, let me just go quickly. So, this is how I came in here. No, please, the first one, because that's very significant. I can't be a leader if I don't lead myself first. So, I want to tell my story a bit. I came in here like this, depressed, feeling lost. I went to the hospital, and the doctor told me that my tubes were blocked and I couldn't have babies. And my husband walked through the door, banged the door, and walked away. So I came in like this. So, but I came in like this. I didn't go away like this. I left like this. Transformed. excited, and filled with hope. And so that is how I left. So immediately I left the training, I executed my project. Let's go to the second one. Set up anything before. And I left feeling with that determination, with that motivation. I set up this, and we went to this Miss School, and we spoke to them about gender-based violence. And we realized that these young girls, some of them 7, told us about their stories, how they make guard in their house, the guard person, they cook. I used to think that it's only the men that do women, so not forgetting that women also do with young girls in their house. And so it was very revealing to us. We realized that most of the schools don't have comprehensive sexuality education in those schools. And the school also, most schools, private schools don't have counseling department for victims when, okay, I'm going through this. So we're able to set up a gender desk where these kids can go, if they have an issue, they can go to them and say, Ma, this is what I've been through. This is what is happening. So I went back to the school to check if we've had any impact. And I was so surprised when I was told that some of the girls are coming up to speak up and tell their stories to their teacher when there's issue. And we told them if they have any critical issue, they should tell us, and we can connect them to an NGO that I'm working with so that we can give them counseling. So that was what I was able to achieve. Now for the story, I did a story about Ochanya. I'm from Benue State, and Ochanya's case was very touching for us, considering how her story wanted to get education and all of that. The case had been on for 3 years. There was no judgment, and we wanted to look at why is there no speedy trial for Ochanya's case. So I went to Benue. I spoke with the governor. One thing we realized while doing the story was the Benue State as a government refused to fund family court. And what that means is if there's no family court, issues of rape and all of that are not attended to. So I spoke to him, questioned him, why hasn't he set that up? And then he said that they were going to work out some political statement. But this story puts pressure on the government. Recently, the judgment was passed. Yeah, we didn't get what we wanted. But you know what? It taught me something. That we need to, when you are persistent, we show them that we're not going to allow this thing to go on like this. We're going to report it. We're going to hold them accountable. We're going to be persistent. And so that's what we learned from it. And eventually, we got the judgment. The wife had 5 months behind bars, which is good for us. Yeah, we couldn't get the husband, but we got the wife to stay behind bars for 5 months. And so she is that what? Okay, so she is doing that now. So generally, what are the benefits? Yes, so I said I came in here broken, but I went back very confident. I initiated, planned, and executed projects. Speaking up for myself and advocating on issues that affect women, that I am doing that now. So even in my office, I speak up and I say things the way they're supposed to be. The gift of talented women. So for women here, I've been able to gain women, friends, and all of that. So we talked about mental transformation. Also, I came here transformed mentally, but that's something I learned. Have I become a leader in my office? No. But something happened to me. I realized that for me to become a leader, I should lead myself first. I need to change my attitude. Changing my attitude requires believing in myself and having convictions. That I need to work on. For me to have this belief and conviction, I need to change my thinking. So you taught me that I needed to change my thinking to become a leader in the society. Thank you very much.
Well, what can I say? I believe we're going to hear more interesting stories. But please just keep it under 3 minutes, huh? Because it's a long list. Huh? Hello? Please, let's keep it under 3 minutes. It's a very long list. Very long list. So let's hear from Abimbola Adegboyega.
I've rightly put there, I'm Abimbola Adeboyega, a reporter working with the Broadcasting Service of Ekiti State. That's my leadership projects. You can see me speaking there. The first thing Wole Soyinka inspired us about is how to be able to have confidence in yourself. Before I came here, it is a very tasking job for me to fake an audience like this, to speak out despite the fact that I'm a journalist. I do interview people, but to face a crowd is always a problem. In September, I was able to hold a kind of workshop for journalists in which about 61, precisely 61 journalists in Ekiti State participated in that workshop. It was amazing, and it was a great thing that after the whole thing, after the workshop and the story that I did, I was honored with the award of the most outstanding journalist in the Ekiti State. The award that I felt it is the best thing in my lifetime, because I've been a reporter over the years, but Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism did the best in me. It showcased me to the world, and I've been the rallying point where I work now. People do come to me to ask series of questions when it comes to sexual or gender-based violence. And I did a documentary on, and it was showcased during that workshop, a documentary which actually features journalists who have done well in the field of journalism. That's the documentary. Please, can somebody, okay? There's an attached there. There's a documentary. Just, I want, please, who is operating it so that, okay. Okay, as I've rightly said, a documentary showcasing women journalists who are successful in the field of journalism. And please, just scroll. And one other thing, after the awards, I've attended series of summits that has to do with gender. No, I think there is no summit in the Ekiti State that Abimbola Adeboyega will not be recognized. They will definitely send an invite. And apart from that, I've never for once wished myself to be probably one of the ESCO of NowWatch, but there was a particular vacancy, and I was invited. Let me say I was nominated. It wasn't an election stuff. I was nominated as an auditor, and when I was glancing through the form that was given to me, I was able to deduce that that position is meant for somebody who has held a particular position, maybe at your chapel, but I was given the position free of charge. I wouldn't say free of charge, let me correct my word. I was given that position as an auditor. That's the picture over there. That's the NowWatch chairperson. And ever since then, my story has definitely changed. I'm a better person. I wouldn't say I'm the best, but let me just accord myself that right, that I'm the best. In broadcasting service of Ekiti State today, I would say I'm a force to be reckoned with. Whenever any discussion wants to come on board, they will definitely call on Abimbola Adeboyega. And even on the platform of Nigerian Union of Journalists, you could see me, that's the Speaker, House of Assembly there. That's Abimbola Adeboyega. And even, in fact, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say again.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm overwhelmed for you as well. We now call on Adetola Bademosi Adanikin. Please, is she here? Okay, she's not around. Okay, a video. Okay. Okay. Can you play the video, please?
Hi everyone, my name is Adetola Bademosi, one of Wole Soyinka's Report Women Fellows for the year 2021. I'm sorry, I would have loved to be there physically, but for unavoidable reasons, I couldn't make it down. So I'm here to speak on both my leadership and story project. So my leadership project, for one, I would say was a bit tasking in the sense that I had to go beyond the ordinary. I had to do what normally I wouldn't have done. So it brought out a part of me that I never really knew was there. So what we did majorly was to hold a day training for teenage girls on sexual abuses, and then the use of social media to speak against abusers. And then during the training, we got participants to share their experiences, and from there we were able to build a network of girls where we periodically meet, they share their experiences and worries, and then the best way that we can, we try as much as possible to provide solutions to some of these worries. And then on my story project, I looked at the plight of the girl child from domestic violence homes. So I got some persons to share their experiences. But one of the key challenges that I faced during the course of this report was getting them to allow me use their pictures, which they disallowed, but I was able to go through and got the story published. So above all, the entire fellowship journey has been wonderful, it's been impactful, it's been empowering, it's been reinvigorating, and beyond what I've done, I hope to do much more. I hope to keep writing more impactful stories that are centered on women issues. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. That's how brief we should be, please. And that's my sister. I don't know her anyway. It's a very big family. It's a big family, so I've not met her. Next is Khadija Ishak Bowers. So just make it 3 minutes, huh?
3 minutes. Please. Don't worry, I will do it under 3 minutes. Good morning, everyone. The first thing I would say is looking at our documentaries and looking at us now, looking at me, let me refer it to me. You know that I am a change person. Okay, my name is Khadija Ishak Bowers from Kano, Nigeria. For my story project, I did a story on a child beggar. She's 21 years. Oh, she's 16. The first one is 16. Her name is Salma. That's not her real name. She was a rape victim, and which resulted to the baby she's now carrying. You can see her and the baby. Okay, briefly. This is the success of my story. He said 3 minutes, so I will just read through. With the help of my story, some good Samaritans became aware of Selma's situation and offered her and her baby in form of essential supplies and rehabilitative support. The commissioner, okay, when I did this story, I contacted the Commissioner for Women Affairs in Kano State. I met her to realize the condition of this woman. It's not only Salma. I met a 16-year-old pregnant girl. I made 21 years. They are just on the street without parents. They are beggars. They move around in Kano State. And the Commissioner for Women Affairs affirmed her commitment to facilitate the creation of 5 sexual assault centers in the state, in 5 Emirate Council. And the last time I checked, it's already in place. 2 are completed. And also, this Selma story, my article on Selma's story was featured in TAS African magazine, which made me eligible and qualified for the TAS Foundation in Germany. 16 African countries were represented. I represented Nigeria because of the story. I just came back from Germany, all thanks to Wole Soyinka Center. And that was my first international trip. And for my leadership project, we started here with you people. You all gave me the idea and reframed it. So I named it Kana Media Hub, CAMET. In CAMET, I did it in 3 phases. The first one, I did training for 40 female journalists and 15 male. We did stories on gender-based violence in newsroom. We mentored them on gender-based violence in newsroom, online opportunities, and the rest. Then on the second one, we also developed a one-stop call center in order to mitigate or to reduce gender-based violence. And doing that, I did a sensitization, I did advocacy and sensitization visit to Ute community in Kano. We met the village heads, and in order to facilitate that, our call center, we distributed 10 cell phones in the village to 8 young girls and two boys. Okay, and also, we did also a story, because during our mentorship, they asked us to put like the police and the court and everything. So we did a training, one-day training for 20 police officers on their handling sexual gender decks. And the theme of this, the training is safety, dignity, and right of survivors first. They should not expose them, like they should take care of them before presenting them to the world. And also, we created the CAMET TV, the online TV. Okay, let me tell you now and here that because of this process, because of this mentorship, I've resigned from Liberty TV Radio. I have my own online TV now, CAMET TV. And CAMET TV works for women and children. This is our certificate, and that's the logo. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm nervous. Wale Soyinka made me to stand in front of people for the first time.
Well, what can I say? Let's hear from the next person, Bolanle Olabinton.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bolanle Olabimton, and I report for the cable. I report the judiciary for the cable. I am lucky and blessed and happy to be a part of the Wale Soyinka Female Reporters Leadership Program. Next slide, please. I don't know the author of this quote. I saw it and I loved it. Life is a journey with problems to solve, lessons to learn, but most of all, experiences to enjoy. And this is exactly what I have experienced in this fellowship. Next, please. For my story project, I looked into the plight of pregnant women in Nigerian prison facilities, and I was able to speak to 2 women who were pregnant in prison. The first is, I won't say her name, but she ended up in prison because of this NSAS. She didn't even know she was pregnant, so it was when she got to prison she realized she was pregnant, and she went through hell. So in summary, I said I looked into the plight of pregnant inmates in Nigerian correctional facilities, and the story highlighted some terrible conditions pregnant women face: poor nutrition, parental care, that including when they have the children, there's no structure in place to take care of these children. So these children have to sleep on the floor with their mothers. Maybe if you can get a small mattress or something, just put on the floor. Otherwise, your baby sleeps on the same space with you. They don't give them food with nutritional values for pregnant women. You basically eat whatever you see, sometimes just gari. You know, just think about it. There's just a lot of things. They don't have access to medical, good medical care as well. There was the first woman I spoke to was pregnant for 12 months. And in those 12 months, her family was in charge. So when she maybe has pains or something, her family members will have to come, maybe fill the police vehicle. They have to pay for, what do they call it, for logistics, yeah. And even when she gave birth, she spent over a month still at the hospital. Her family had to pay for all those things. So there are just so many things. The second lady, even the day she gave birth, she had to walk. The health center was behind the hospital, and she was shackled. She had the handcuffs, and she had to walk to the health center to give birth. And even after that, you know, abusive words. You can think about the mental torture, first of all, that they go through, that normal prisoners, not just even women, go through. Not to talk of a pregnant woman. So there are just so many terrible conditions that these women are exposed to. For my leadership project, I put together a workshop for students interested in campus journalism. I finished from Afebwala University, and while studying media and communication, I wasn't exposed to the practical, you get what I mean. So when I came into this whole journalism space, I was almost lost. And that was what made me say, okay, my project, I'm going to focus on private universities, but it's not going to be one day, because these students, a lot of them are very relaxed. So eventually I threw it open, and a lot of students, I think I got over 160 persons actually registered for the training. And thanks to my mentor, Mr. Lekon Otufoduri, and other people I met, I mean, we just came together to organize the training. And for the benefits, I have grown a lot. I really cannot say how much I have grown, but I have grown a lot. You know, people said they came in here timid and all that. I was just at the point where I felt like, okay, should I resign? Because I didn't really believe in myself. When they give me a task, I'm always second-guessing myself. But after this, and a guy in my office actually pushed me to register for this. I told him I wasn't going to register. He made sure on the last day was when I submitted this thing. I already lied to him that I have submitted. But I asked myself, what will I gain? I will feel bad afterwards. So I decided to, and the site was just acting up. So I just downloaded the form, put everything in it, and submitted it via email. And I'm so glad I was chosen. Thought leadership, I'm not just, fine, I don't occupy a management position in my office, but I can say that I actually push other women. Since I went back, I tell the other girls, the interns and others, you have to push yourself, you have to apply. When I see applications, I send it to other people. I have become more confident. My communication and interpersonal skills have actually improved. Networking, bunch of amazing women. I love the fact that
for that training, which I'm happy about. So the highlights was that 19 interns participated, and in the first training, 50 journalists and some editors participated in the second training, and it exposed them to what I've already talked about. Then the benefits to them, it created awareness and about SGBV issues and, of course, financial management. Then my story project, titled Tales of Sexual and Gender-Based Violence by Teachers. I interviewed lecturers on their experience dealing with sexual and gender-based violence. It was one of the hardest stories I did, because I just found out that nobody was interested. You know, usually we tell it is the lecturers that abuse students and victimize them. But now, but there's a flip side of the story.
And they were not willing to talk. It was so hard. I was like, what's the big deal about this? But it was really hard. And eventually when I got those that were going to talk, I found out that they actually go through trauma too. They are actually victimized. They actually have students throwing themselves at them, and they cannot even report because people will laugh at them. The one actually said, so they said, see, this student is great. They laughed at him and said, oh, guy, you two agree now. You know, they didn't take him serious, a professor. So that is their reality. That's their reality there. And afterwards, after the story was published, my fellow, Choma read the story, and from Port Harcourt, she was like, this is good, please, let's discuss it on Nigerian Info, and she called me, and we did a live program. I talked about the story, and there were a lot of calling. So I was very happy. Thank you for that, Choma. It was a nice thing, and you know, when people started calling, I was like, so people are really listening, and, you know, but many of them did not believe the story, actually. They didn't believe that lecturers could be victimized. So that. Then my own gains. The 3 minutes is not enough, but I'll try. As I said, that at the beginning, I was like, what again? Another Wole Soyinka thing and all that. So I got here and I met a new breed. It's like I'd never seen this set of journalists before. I was like, really? So people are doing things like this. That means that I have not done anything now. So I was really, 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 really inspired by this set of journalists. Man, I was like, see, I was so inspired that I was like, okay, I need to sit up because these people are not joking, you know. And it's me, it seems as if I'm the one joking. And you know, I'd been in the nation, at the nation for 16 years. I'd spent many since 2007. I'd been as a corp reporter, actually. I was young when I became the head of the education desk, and I'd been there, or that I was growing laterally. So I needed to challenge myself. There was so much to challenge myself about. So from this, I organized my first leadership program. And during our program, we were taught to budget and all that. After this training, I applied for the IVLP Visitors Program Impact Award because I participated in the IVLP Fellowship before Wole Soyinka. It was a virtual one. We didn't go to the US because of COVID. But when this opportunity came to apply, I remember that they taught us to budget. And I applied, and I won. So, so I'll be implementing, inspired by this program that puts us together, regardless of your age, your level, whether you're a corp reporter or you're a very experienced person. I'm going to do the same for 20 female journalists. Then it made me, as I said, it challenged me. That's the second. Oh, what did I do? And I've not finished. So it challenged me to do a lot of things. Then I was inspired. Of course, our mentors were fantastic. Before the program, I didn't know anything about sexual and gender-based violence reporting. So I learned a lot about that. And of course, my story, my job today cannot be divorced from this fellowship, because it was during one of our fair share that I sent in my CV for the job, and I was said, let me edit and add this program to it. I sent in my CV, I'm sorry, one last point. I sent in my CV, and I really didn't think it was going to work, but now, today, I'm commissioning editor Nigeria for The Conversation Africa. It was one of our mentors, Mr. Leko Otufoduri, that submitted my CV for that job. Thank you very much, sir. I'm very grateful. Then one last thing about it. So now on this job, I work with academics to write on their research, and one of my first commissioning was on a domestic violence story when Osinachi died. I was so taken by that story, and I mentioned it on our group, WhatsApp group, that this Osinachi matter is so important, and the next thing was that then pursue it. So I had to look for an academic who had done research in domestic violence. And when she submitted it, I'm supposed to edit collaboratively with her. And then she now mentioned one law, and I replied, sorry. And I sent her a message that, sorry, this law, I don't think it applies to the whole of Nigeria. Why don't you use the VAP law? Because I learned it from here. And she adopted it, and it's one of my first publications at the Conversation Africa. Thank you very much.
Please, I have to beg. Kofu took the longest time, about 10 minutes. Yes. Please. Imabong, them.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited that I was part of this, and today the big story is happening. We will be inducted as fellows into the Female Reporters Leadership Program. I am so excited, particularly because I almost said no. I'd gone all out to apply, and eventually that email came saying congratulations, but then you would have to write us to say if you would be available. And I'd applied because it was a point where in Akwa Ibom State there were so many disturbing stories on sexual and gender-based violence, and I just wanted to make a mark. I wanted to contribute to reporting on these cases, and I knew I needed the needed skills to do this. And so I think of the fact that I almost said no, and I'm happy that I did not say no. So I'm here, and I've achieved so much on the course of this program, and I would like to just take you through what I did. So this is the leadership project for me. I trained a number of budding journalists. That was a target at some point when I realized that the practicing journalists were not very interested in doing stuff. So I started to target those still in school so I could actually impact on them. Thinking about the fact that when I started journalism, a bit of confusion, I wasn't really sure of what I wanted to do, and I just thought about the fact that this ones in school, if I can catch them young, and if they can start early, it will go a long way. So we had a number of them, and I can say that after that training that looked at, building tenacity in journalism, looked at staying relevant in journalism, and also other courses like multimedia journalism. We also talked about different streams of income, how they can access it. A lot of them were surprised that they could actually, as students, begin to access these opportunities. And so that's what we dwelled on, talked about. And afterwards, I can see that they are making exploits. I have a number of them who I'm looking at doing so much with. So if you look up there, I have Skill Up Journalism Movement. It's going to be more of a movement because I want these persons who have experience, they're still in school, they can be advocates who would impact on other students as well, and we can together create a difference in my space. Because I can tell you when it comes to journalism in Akwa Ibom State, there's still so much lackadaisical attitude. There's a lot of complacency, just thinking that they can stay in their comfort zone. And I just believe that when they start from the school level to begin to do stuffs, and they tell other people that they can do stuffs, then we all make a difference in our little space. Okay, so I would say that for the leadership project for me, still on the first slide, I've become intentional with mentorship. That I never really had before I came here. So I look at my space, the interns, even in my office space, I'm beginning to mentor them intentionally, and I'm seeing a great difference. These are people that come in and they want to be possibly in the program department because they believe they can be on the microphone. They don't want to be in the newsroom. News is very boring, and they just leave at the end of the internship, not achieving anything. But I'm seeing them come out to do stories. And, at the end of the day, their logbooks are filled with stories they've been able to do. And it makes me proud that I can't believe I'm the one actually doing this. So for mentorship, I'm more intentional with that. And also for leadership as well. Just before I came for this project, I just got on board as the head of news in my station. I wasn't very sure I'll be able to do that. But then I eventually came here, and I learned all I learned. And I went back. And I can say for sure that I'm impacting the news editors, the news reporters, the news producers. And as I speak to you, one of them just got into the Media Innovation Program that is organized by the School of Media and Communication in collaboration with MTN. And that was because, yes, she just said, you're doing so much. Sometimes they think that because I have connection, I'm getting this training. I told them, I don't know anyone. It's just basically what you're doing. You put it out there, and it will sell you. And she's been so amazed at the fact that she can get into that program, and she was one of the editors. And that's because I'm also being intentional about how directing them to look in different directions where they can actually get these opportunities from. I would say it's been a very huge impact being on this particular project. So to the next slide, the story project I did. So I decided to look at solutions reporting. In Akwa Ibom State, that's one of the states that has been able to put the violence against person prohibition law in place, domesticating this. And so I went ahead to do that, looking at now that that is the law, what next? And I realized that the Akwa Ibom State government has gone ahead to, put a lot of things in place 18 months after. And that was like the translation of the VAP law into local dialects just happened this week. Because they felt that having that in English might just be very limiting for those in the rural areas. So as we speak, we have it in Eket, we have it in Anang, we have it in Ibibio, and in Oron as well. And that's just one of the things they had talked about while I was doing this story, that they would put it in place. So it's not just a one-off thing, just having this story done to say, oh, they decided to implement. You know what implementation of laws as looks like in Nigeria? We have those laws, as many as they are, but when it comes to implementation, it's very draggy. But things are happening. And so the whole idea is to keep following up, to see that the government keeps doing even much more by implementing the provisions of this law. And I can say that, just following up on this, I'm seeing them doing even much more in terms of even the data issues. They're trying to correct that as well. And then the whole idea is to frequently sensitize people on the provisions of the law and engage more stakeholders. So I would say for this story, it went quite far. It was broadcast on my station, Inspiration 105.9 FM, and also on our website. And just some days back, I went back to that link, and I discovered that over 400 persons have interacted with this material. So we just keep talking, and like we said earlier, report until something happens. That's what I'll keep doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mabon. Next is Anita Eboigwe. Sorry, easy, yeah?
Okay, good morning. So, obviously there's a lot to say, and I'm taking a moment to figure out how to say it in 3 minutes. But first of all, I want to thank Mrs. Alaka for just being amazing. I put it that way because when I first became head of newsroom, I looked around to see if I was going to find examples of how women have led newsrooms. I think I found like 2 people, but then they were not heading like innovative newsrooms. So I now had to look for foreign, experiences. Then, when I became managing editor, it was another wahala. So by the time I came to the fellowship, I had one major goal, and that was to become to learn as much as possible, so that by the time other people are looking for women who had done this thing before, they would say, okay, Anita has done it, and this would work because I have seen that Anita has done this. If you watched what I said in the documentary, I was very specific on replicating communities, because I believe that communities will save us at the end of the day in this profession. This is a community that we have started, and then we need to go back and do it. So that's exactly what I did for my leadership project. Well, for my story project, I'll tell you a simple story. When I walked into Say and Dave camp in Benue State, it was like I had walked back in time. Seeing people, especially women, just go through life holding so much pain and trauma. I wrote the story of Felicia Bako and all other women. And whilst I was there, I discovered that these women were also suffering from period poverty. So when I had written about their trauma, I went back and I wrote a story about their period poverty. And since I wrote that story till now, they have been receiving consistent donations of sanitary products. Secondly, we have been able to draw the state's attention to the camp, and now they have been officially recognized as an official Benue State camp and receiving the facilities that are due to them. So that's for my story project. For that to have happened, I did a podcast. So my organization had a podcast, so I did a podcast, I did a mini documentary. I was trying to push it out to as many people as possible. I had a Twitter space. Literally, I was harassing people with the story. Have you read this story? Do you see what is happening with Benue women? Because what you see in the media is Borno State, Adamawa State, Yobe State, IDPs in the Bay State. Okay, what of the IDPs in the Middle Belt? Have you seen what's happening to the women? I was harassing people, and I'm glad that the harassment, paid off, and is still paying off. Then for my leadership story, again, I'll tell you a story because Edo people are good storytellers. So this morning, I saw a fellowship, call for fellowship, and I sent it to the 50+ young girls in my network that I have been training since I started my leadership project. And thank you. And I was able to do that because consistently we have been receiving trainings, and I had confidence in the fact that they would qualify for it. I have helped at least 12 of those girls publish their first stories ever. And they are not publishing on silly blogs, I'm sorry. They're publishing on international reputable publications. We have also had about 3 of them go on to win awards, even from their first story. My favorite story is that of Gbemisola. Gbemisola is a medical student in the University of Ilorin. She really liked journalism, but did not know how to get into journalism. And so when I carried my crusade to the University of Ilorin, she was one of those who came and said, I want. And she got in, published her first ever story on the plight of student doctors who are watching other doctors jackpot. And that story is one of our highest performing stories in my organization. So finally, I just really want to thank everyone for being honest. I don't think that all of the impact that we're recording today, there's so much more. 3 minutes is such a short time. But I just really want to thank everyone for being so honest, because it was because of your honesty, both from the mentors, from the funders, from Wole Soyinka, from Ms. Salaka herself, and all the fellows, that we were able to do the things that we have done so far. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, Chioma Ezenwafo. Three minutes. It's like, I'm scared of Chioma now. Shock us, please.
I'll shock you. Good morning, everyone. In 3 minutes, it will be noon. I want to really thank my mentors and, of course, Ms. Alaka. I think I was the most honest when she talks about honesty. When I came, I was broken. A lot had happened in my office and in my life at the time I came. And I've always known I would do journalism. I was one of those people who were intentional. Like they say, I was very sure what I wanted to do, and I waited for it. When it came as an admission, I got into school, started the profession as a student, graduated with a CV that was so busy that then they would ask me, when did you graduate again? Because that's how busy I was. And so I was, at that point when I applied, not losing, should I say losing faith in the profession or losing steam and momentum and whatever it is we call it in career. And so this was a really perfect hub for me, and with the kind of mentors that I met and how they were also open and talked about trying to manage a home and trying to build a career, talk about how to manage balancing, getting your colleagues to support you, because I didn't see a lot of that happening, how to really do that and not get them to rather draw you down, but rather support you. So I learned all of those things. More importantly, I went to implement them. And the results are showing in what you're going to see in a bit. I tried to put them in 3 slides. I don't know how we're doing that miracle, but we worked it out. All right, so the first of it was in my leadership project. And I was able to get my organization to agree for me to facilitate and do this. I think it's the first time it ever happened in my organization. I've been there for 10 years, and this was the first time that they actually were very open. They sent an email, like it was very official, and everyone showed up. And the only ones who didn't were perhaps the ones on air on that day. And so we were able to do this training to talk about how to really tell your stories beyond that's digital journalism, beyond the way we tell them, the everyday radio style. And that convergence that has happened, and being aware of that as journalists when you step out, or even as, especially for the sports guys and the broadcasters, because for the ones in the newsroom, they already know they're going to do stories. But letting the ones that are purely on air, that have on-air roles, realize that, you know, you're also a journalist, and seeing that you can tell your stories in other formats, especially when you are the one there and not the regular reporter. So that really helps. And we've seen that happen a lot. Like, we've seen those who are not the regular on-air radio newsroom staff go out there and actually tell the story and do the regular jobs because of this training. Okay, so that's for leadership project. A lot of that has happened, but I mean, I have 3 minutes. I'm trying to surprise you guys. So for my story project, please the next slide. My story project was on how Rivers State is responding to sexual violence in Rivers State. And one of the things I saw and realized, even why I decided to take on this, is that I had done a lot of reports with a lot of NGOs who had done lots of things when it comes to sexual violence, but most of them didn't even know what the other was doing. Most of them didn't even know that another existed. Okay, so this report was trying to, first of all, document the reasons sexual violence was rising in Rivers State, archive the different cases reported, and harmonize data, which all of these NGOs had. Okay, and I was able to do that with this report. And we did, apart from the radio news, I was able to do a documentary of it, which has now become a podcast on the website. And I was getting on doing the TV, like adding visuals to the radio one, but I didn't get to really complete that because I started seeing that this was really helping. I mean, most of those NGOs, I'm also in their WhatsApp groups, and so I see that they lift the stories because the role that they played was mentioned in it. And so they're able to see, oh, this is what this person is doing. So that collaboration is beginning to happen in River State, all right? So also highlighting the struggles of these survivors helped everyone to know how they can pitch in, even the state, and paying more attention to exactly what survivors need, apart from, you know, the issue of getting justice, which is key. There are also other helps that they need. So by and large, this is me, and I'm trying to surprise you, so there's so much I'm not going to say. But what I will say is that I love that I came here because it changed my mindset to learn that you don't really have to have a title to be a leader. I mean, I am very comfortable with the role that I play, and I don't really need a title to make impact because I see that impact with my colleagues and with myself. Thank you.
Yes, you tried. You took about 6 minutes. Yes. Titi Lokwe Olayemi Fadare.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'll say I'm privileged to be here. I mean, I applied for this fellowship since the very first application. And I think it was a blessing for me to have gotten it this time because I needed a lot to learn, basically, and I'm happy to be here. Okay, so let me start with my presentation. Oh, thanks. So for my leadership project, based on a training that I partook last year, I believe, yes, last year with Facebook and hashtag our stories, hashtag our stories, yes, I was one of the winners of the mobile journalism training. And from that, I felt like mobile journalism should, be replicated in Nigerian newsrooms because it is cheaper and it's easier for the Nigerian newsrooms. So I saw myself starting up with that, and I needed to replicate that in other newsrooms. So for my leadership project, I was able to conduct a training on mobile journalism in 3 newsrooms in Abuja, broadcasts. It was like a partnership with OSAS when she was still there, with 8 interns there. In my platform, 14 participants were there, premium times. And then we had both reporters and editors present. And then also, more interesting is the print platform, which is the newspaper, the Nation newspaper, where I served And going back there was a big deal because they were like, this girl came to serve with us, so why is she coming to come and train us? So when they saw me there, they were like, how will your editors be sitting down and you want to show? What do you have to say that we have not done before? And it actually shook me because it was on a Friday and everybody was like, I was supposed to be with my children or my kids or doing something at this particular time and you are here for a training. But at the end of the training, they were so excited to know that Tita had developed this much and they had gotten certain skills that they could use for themselves, to the extent that even the management made it compulsory for them to equally produce videos while reporting. So I've already gone to my success story, but let me just have to mention that. So I think please go back. And yes, for my story project, I wanted to do something solutions. I understand that gender-based issues, you were always telling people's problems per se. And it's always good to also look at how people are responding to these things. And through the help of my mentor, she's not here, I was able to tell stories of how communities themselves are owning up to their issues and taking up responsibilities of responding to the GBV cases themselves. So they are referring these cases to security officials. They're helping their girls to get psychological support and the likes. So this was looking into a totally different scenario. Communities owning their stories and then telling their stories by themselves. And next slide, please. Sorry. All right. So the outcome of my engagement after this training, my organization is very mandatory as well that all reporters produce videos. It is very in fact for your story to be graded, it must come with multimedia elements. So that's one great outcome from our organization. Equally, at the Nation newspaper, we have that as well. Then the benefits of this program to me and others, like my fellow sisters here for you. So now people see me as an expert to prefer solutions regarding gender-based issues. And last year I was able to co-organize the first ever Walk to End FGM in Nigeria, which was attended by the Minister of Women Affairs and UNFPA country director. Then I was also invited into Adamawa State to train members of civil society groups on mobile journalism and also journalists there as well. It also gave me the opportunity to meet my fellow sisters here. And the other things I didn't mention here, which I'll just do in 1 minute, which is I was given the opportunity to lead a project in my newsroom at the moment. I was given the opportunity in March, based on my stories, I was able to attend the first ever Africa Committee on the Status of Women, a UN annual event in Kenya in March on how climate change affects women. I was also recently featured in African Women in Media, and I also got a 9-month fellowship to report more on gender-based issues from African Women Journalism Project for 9 months. Thank you very much.
Please, going forward, we have to do better with the time. And one thing you must all understand is one very important tenet of journalism is brevity. So you want to tell a story, you have to be brief. As a matter of fact, it's becoming a fundamental principle. So brevity is the key here. So we're cutting down to 2 minutes. Please, because we have to manage the time. Some of the important persons I think you should have listened to have left just because of the time. Please, not more than 2 minutes. Not more than 2 minutes, and I'll be very strict with the time, please. Next person, please, not more than 2 minutes. Just make it brief. Anne Chuka Godwin, 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. They are tempting me to say hallelujah, but my time is counting. So I want to appreciate WSIJ and its funding partner, Osiwa, for initiating this great project, which has really enhanced my capacity as a female journalist and other female journalists over there in Rivers State and across some states. I'm Godwin. I must say that this FRLP project has served as a rebate, a total rebate and a booster, to me as a female journalist. After the intensive training with our seasoned mentors, I have to say thank you very much, our wonderful and dogged mentors. You really instill the I can do spirit in me. While we were standing at Amber Place, we were asked to state our objectives. And one of the things I said is that Rivers State, some female journalists or most female journalists are lagging behind. So I was poured in that program to go back and, instill what I have learned. And today I am happy to say that we have an army of female journalists that are making difference in Rivers State. So my story project, I started in August. Please, can you take it back? We started in August, and the title was Step Up Media Network, a network of community female journalists across 6 states in Nigeria that are determined to change the narrative, that is the stereotype narrative in the newsroom, and to position ourselves in the leadership position. You can go back. That's the picture there was when we started, and there's when we, where we are. So through that Step Up Media Network, the impact, by the special grace of God, we network, we train, we retrain. We've had training online and also physical. And through that, we've been able, a lot of our members have secured jobs. We have 3 of them who have stepped up in their jobs. So before now, I was the only female national reporter in Rivers State, but now we have been able to push a this day reporter. In Rivers State, we have a this day reporter. Some also have enhanced in their, the finance, because some organizations come to our Step Up Media Network to ask us for trainers and trainees, and we give to them, and after that, some of them receive, good pay. This is a photo of our network with an advocacy center. This is another one I did in Rivers State University. That is my second leg of female leadership project, where I went and trained about 150 female students, and they didn't stop there. It was like a chain. So this is a female student in Rivers State University. She took the to a secondary school where she is teaching secondary school students on issues of sexual and gender-based violence and how to position themselves in leadership positions. The idea is that after that she will shift them to me, to our level, and we also increase them and push them up. That is the idea. It's not a one-off thing. We have built a solid foundation, a network where we have some ESCO members, so that even as I'm here right now, the network, the operation is still on. So we have also moved on, to obtain our form for registration with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and the registration is gaining a smooth progress. We have also, through this this training, I was also able to secure one of my, let me say, highest, one of my highest, what do you call it, grants? Yes, just last week, I received a grant from African Community Network, $2,000 grant, which is about 1 million naira. So I appreciate, thank you everyone. My story project has also revamped Rivers State. Thank you.
Osaruname Ibizogbe. Please, very brief.
Hello everyone, good morning. It's great to be here again, standing on the podium and facing a crowd of people and not fidgeting or shaking. I mean, it's a major highlight for me being part of the Female Reporters Leadership Program under the Wole Soyinka Fellowship. Before now, I never thought leadership was something for me. I never thought, even though I worked in broadcast for about 7 years, I interview people on air, I read the news, I present programs, but I never thought it was beyond that. I was just okay with just being there. It's okay, let me be on that level, let me just do my thing just where I am. But when I came into this fellowship, just like Doshima Abu said, I came in very timid. I came in and I saw amazing women, I saw what women are doing, and I remember Doshima telling me, don't think you're too young to be here. For you to be here, there's something here for you. There's something God wants you to take away from here. Just be patient and ensure that you open your eyes to take it and go with it. So I'll start with my leadership projects. The first slide, please. Okay, I don't know who has the... This is it, right? Oh, okay. All right, so my leadership project, I just highlighted the points. It gave me an opportunity to network, first of all, to meet amazing women journalists who are doing great jobs in their various spheres of influence. It gave me the ability to impact knowledge. My leadership project, I started with organizing a training session for my newsroom where I worked before, ITV Abuja. I did the training for every staff of the organization. But at the end of the training session, I saw that it wasn't very impactful based on the fact that my colleagues were not very open to listening. I'm sure in their mind they thought, this small girl, what does she know? What do you know that you want to teach us now? What do you know that we haven't seen before? So when I saw that that wasn't very impactful, I went on, and then this time I narrowed it down to training just interns at my office. Because I noticed most times when interns go into organizations for internship, they just go in, they run errands for most of their internship time, and then before you know it, they go back to schools or they go back to wherever they came from. So I thought about coming together and bringing the interns and just training it. That was the first in my organization. Nobody has ever thought of that. Nobody has ever done that. I had Titi Lokbe come in to teach them on mobile journalism. I had an SGBS part, talk to them on SGBV, while I taught them how to report on SGBV. And then at the end of the day, one of I think about 13 of them attended, but I saw the impact in one of them, who at the end of the day went on to do our first major story that was published on our website. And then she also was given a 30-minute program, airtime on TV, to run her own youth-led TV program. So that was something for me, because I never thought I had the knowledge to even teach someone, and then she will go on to also make impact. And then it gave me the ability and the avenue to amplify the voice of GBV survivors. My story project was on a young lady who was raped by her boyfriend. She got pregnant. She was abandoned. I think she was 16 at the time it happened. But at the time I told her story, she was about 20 years old. After I told the story, it was published on the cable. It was published on other media platforms. And then at the end of the day, I got a response from a Lagos-based NGO through my mentor, Mrs. Josephine, who then went on to sponsor her back to school. Now she's getting ready to write her WAEC. And that was from the SGBV. Sorry, just the last slide. Okay, let's move on to the last slide, the benefits. I want to talk about the benefit because this is something for me. I can't stand in front of a crowd like this and just be talking and be talking. I mean, I always get this oceans of doubt usually flood my mind. Like, what do you know? What can you say? Even if you know what to say, if you get up there, are you sure you're not going to forget all of the points that you have in your head and all of that? But this fellowship has given me the ability to know that I have something. No matter how small it is, I can also impact on all that. And apart from that, I think a few months after the fellowship, I went back. I met the CEO of Premium Times, Mr. Dapo Loriomi. And between last year and now, I got an offer from CJID, Center for Journalism, Innovation and Development. And currently, I am the project officer, Media and Gender with the CJID. And I know this is an opportunity for me to do other great works, to lead other great projects that are impactful. And I'm very, very grateful for that.
Thank you. Basi Ita Ikbang. Your hands for her, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. I want to say that my experience at this project, at this fellowship, has been a life-changing one. Life-changing in the fact that I now see myself as a leader when it comes to gender issues. In my newsroom and in every forum I happen to attend, even when we are having NUJ meetings, nobody talk about women. Nobody jest about women anymore. Then my leadership project was a training for activists and journalists. I had 54. I collaborated with Nawosh National. I had 54 participants, 20 male and 34 women. The focus was, first, the other slide. The focus was on writing compelling reports, turning the searchlight on women, you know. If you cover an assignment and you have the opportunity to speak with 5 people, at least 3 should be women. And not just speaking with them, you know, as a vulnerable set of human beings. Reporting their strengths, highlighting their strengths as women. And knowing the right way to report until something happened. I want to thank Mrs. Alaka because I took that and I ran with it, rush. Then also the need to consider the emotional state of survivors. We had a psychologist and a counselor who taught participants on, you know, the need to ask questions. We drew reference from what happened in Akwa Ibom, the job seeker, you know, the questions that journalists asked at that event. And we also thought on where to go and, you know, the windows available for survivors. We had a FIDA president. She was there. She talked to participants. Next slide. And we had 5 speakers there. Next slide. Let me just go to the next slide. The stories were aired on AIT, NTA, AIT, the 3 major network stations of NTA, AIT, Clear TV, and the rest. Then my story project was on female genital mutilation. A lot of things have been written on that, but I had to, you know, look for something new. What is it about this? We have talked about this, but it still persists in Nigeria. So I had to look for men. I had to take it from the men angle, the ones that are married to women that have been cut. So they told me and they disabused everything about it. And I also had to look for a cutter herself. I drove my report to Regina. Regina was supposed to be a cutter. According to her, the gods, you know, chose this who to cut, to be a cutter. And she was chosen at the age of 7 and was trained to take over from her grandmother. But for the reason that she didn't do it, she ran away. After the training, she ran away. So the thing stopped in our community. And I've been collaborating with her. We've been looking for ways, you know, to go to further create enlightenment so that other communities around there will also stop the cut. I have and one other thing that is important for me, Nigeria now has the national document on female genital mutilation. And when that was launched, the Minister of Health had to acknowledge my report. And 2 people I interviewed are in that committee. 2 people I interviewed are in that committee. I have the link to all the reports that were aired, you know, on my leadership project and also my reporting project. That's the link there. And I want to say that we are all stars here. I want to join NTA. We are all stars. So stand up as stars. Join the fight against gender-based violence. Fight against rape and rapists. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Magdalene Michael. Kimberly Bless and Wachuku should get ready, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, I want to appreciate Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. I want to appreciate our mentors. I want to thank my colleagues. You guys have been amazing. So for me, this experience is life-changing in the sense that apart from training staff of Confluence Cable Network Limited, apart from doing a story project that informed a live phone-in program, and we have a synergy of the government, NGOs,
and religious leaders talking about the need to speak up about sexual and gender-based violence in northern Nigeria, I've taken the advocacy to public primary schools, that's local government primary schools. Now, I'm mentoring these young lads on having a healthy self-esteem and not being abusers, because it starts here. And if we don't have them more informed, this problem would continue, and I don't know how we'll come to an end with this. So I've not stopped here. I've moved to another level in the sense that I left Grace FM, and as a communications specialist with Development Alternative Incorporation, I have the privilege of training journalists. Now, I'm using the rush principle, telling them that, okay, it's not enough to just report, but you should profile solutions while filing those reports. And also, you're not just going to leave survivors or whoever it is that you've interviewed. If there is a need, make sure that as a journalist, you can actually contribute a quota. So far, I want to say that this experience has been rewarding. And I have a network of sisterhood. I'm glad to be part of this network. Thank you.
That's how it should be. Magdalene, thank you very much. Kimberly, blessing Wachiku, just do the same thing she did. Huh?
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I have a cold. It's not COVID, don't worry. I sneezed really loud at the airport. No one flinched, no one jumped. I even got a bless you, so it's not COVID. Okay, female leadership reporters program here. On my leadership project, I decided to go with schools to do a mentorship program. I've been meaning to do that for a while. So when I joined this program, the leadership program, it felt like it jumpstarts me really intensely and gave a definition, a clarity of what I wanted to do with these high school, secondary school students. So I started with this school. They grow really tall in secondary schools nowadays, I tell you. So I started with them. We did a lot of talks around this, sharing experience, educating them on it, and I've been following on the particular school. As a matter of fact, the school wanted me to come continuously, like every quarter, every session, to come give this talk to different set of their students, and I've been getting some very impressive feedback of knowledgeable students who are taking things up in their home front, aside from the school environment where they're doing that. And I've also taken it to other schools also in the FCT. It said that every quarter I'll go to a different school and share more of this. Then my story is on childhood interrupted by rape, where I visited a shelter for women and children by Dorothy Njemanzi Foundation. And in short, that is a different story. There are a series of stories I'm telling based on that particular visit to the shelter there, because there are a lot of them. But I did the special report on the 12-year-old girl who is in the shelter, a survivor of rape who has a child, and we distilled all of the ripple effect of the rape of this 12-year-old girl and how it affects the family and community altogether. And yes, the outcome, okay, this is the other school, the last school I visited before coming here, secondary school also in Maitama. So I'm training more schools on SGBV-related issues, committed to reporting SGBV and following development around the stories, because you can't just leave it at that. You have to follow. Like with the 12-year-old, they changed the judge. So the story they're trying it all over again. After 2 years, it feels like they're going back to the very beginning, which is heart-wrenching for them, actually. And it's been an insightful, incredible experience. I have grown professionally. I have only 2 minutes. If I start to talk, it will be too much. But I'm grateful to Wole Soyinka, Mrs. Alaka, thank you very much. My mentor, Prof. Thumbs up. Ms. Aleko, thank you very much. And to all my incredible fellows, thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. Next, Temitokwe Ululeye. She's not here. Okay, she has a video. Yes.
Hi, hello everyone. How are you doing? Yes, I'm so sorry I can't be there at the moment because I'm currently in the US, but I'm so happy that finally we're getting to have this award and induction ceremony. It's been such a very exciting fulfilling journey. And I want to say congratulations to everyone. Congratulations on being able to get here, get to this point. We all deserve it. We all deserve it. So congratulations. Yeah, so for my story project, what I did was to do a story on sexual harassment, and the title of my story was "Is Sexual Harassment Fast Becoming a Norm in Newsrooms?" So that was the focus of my story. It was quite fulfilling to do a story on that because I was able to uncover the fact that it's still actually something that still goes on in newsrooms and it needs to be addressed and it's urgent attention, and policies need to really be enforced when it comes to sexual harassment in newsrooms. The impact was that it got the conversation going. I had a media house that actually they realized the need, why they really needed to start training their staff on sexual harassment and the need to be able to do it constantly, consistently. Yeah, so that was one of the significant impacts from that story. And for my leadership project, what I did was to organize a conference I tagged the Media Brilliance Conference in Ilorin, Kwara State. And the theme of the conference was the importance and know-how of gender-sensitive reporting. And we had a lot of participants, mostly journalists from different media houses. The impact was great because right away during the conference, I had lots of journalists that said that they were going to start implementing that. They said they were well educated, they'd really learned a lot. And even after that, when I did a follow-up with some of the participants that came, they said they had already started implementing gender-sensitive reporting in their news, in their reportage. So I think it was really a great impact that followed the leadership project. Yes. So yes, I can just say that for this Fellowship Report Women Fellowship, it has really been such a wonderful journey, fulfilling journey. I learned a lot. I have been pushed to greater heights, greater lengths. And so I am just so glad. I'm glad for the opportunity. I'm glad to have been part of this fellowship. And I couldn't have asked for a more better fellowship. Yes, so thank you so much. I want to thank all the mentors, co-fellows, well done. And of course, let me especially thank the CEO, Madam Moturayo Alaka, and also my mentor, my main mentor, Professor Abigail Ogwezi Ndisika. Thank you so much for being a great mentor. Enjoy the event. Bye-bye.
Keep it 2 minutes.
I'll try. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope I can do this in 2 minutes, but I'll try. Well done, co-fellows. You're all looking wonderful, by the way. For a lot of my co-fellows, this may be the high point, Women Reporters Fellowship. But for me, it is a continuation of the high point of my career. They say chance cures us of what reason will not. And that has happened for me. It's a personal experience. I was going through some personal challenges at work at one time in my career. And then the Bible says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. I decided to move against the tide and strive for excellence in my career. And it led me to a very good place. In 2019, I got a commendation from the WSCIJ. In 2020, I got the win for television category for another investigative report on gender and sexual-based violence. So Report Women is just a continuation. So for this, I want to say a very big thank you to the center. It's been a big boost for my career. And in fact, my transition from my former place of work to where I am now, Channels Television, the awards gave me the visibility, so I'm grateful. So This is a bit haphazard, and it's missing some very important details. So I'm just going to speak to, very quickly, my leadership and story projects. When I was coming into the academy, I wanted to learn a lot more about the legal instruments, because my story for the big win had to do with how justice, the will of justice, was clogged by by the police operatives. So I learned a lot. I learned about the African Charter of Women and People's Rights. I learned about the Maputo Protocol. I learned that, in fact, in the Lagos laws of domestic violence, a third party can arrest on behalf of a victim of sexual and gender-based violence that is afraid because of the circumstances that he or she is going through. You know, I even learned that emotional violence is a type of sexual and gender-based violence that is punishable by the law. So those laws for me were key. Then my leadership project, by the time we were done, I was spoiled for choice. I was brimming with ideas. So I wanted to do everything. But I chose, it's not here, I chose a media campaign wherein I shot like a drama that is a media campaign. And then at the close of the project, when they were asking us to submit our leadership projects, I was done with it, but I didn't know how I was going to publicize it, because it's really using drama as a social reconstruction tool to serve as a deterrent for those who are involved, you know, in these dastardly acts. So I kept telling my line manager, I have this material from the Report Women Fellowship. How can I get it along? Some of my colleagues at Channels TV are here. If you know Channels TV, your bosses will tell you, go and meet chairman. And you will be like, how can I go and meet chairman? I never knew that I was going to get that media campaign ahead. But one day I got the courage to write chairman, and then he approved it. When I was told that chairman had approved it, I was ecstatic. I couldn't believe it. I said, really? He didn't ask me to tweak anything, to change anything. But glory to God, today, my media campaign against sexual and gender-based violence is showing on Channels Television. Then, I also got an appointment, which doesn't affect my current appointment at Channels TV, as one of the managing editors of a digital online magazine, wherein I'm the Women Affairs editor as a result of my Women Fellowship. Lastly, my story project. There's another thing I want to say, but my story project is centered on husband battery. I was able to tell those, I wanted to flip the script, you know, because 70% of SGBV is against women, but I did something on men. So I told the story of two men. You know, human angle stories are the best told stories. And these men are going through a lot. Thankfully, they've walked away from the relationships now. These men told me about how their wives poured, one of them, the wife poured hot water on him, instigated his sons against him. His sons beat him up, threw the match candle on his head. You know, the man was really battered. And the other one, it was a witchcraft situation, really, where the woman, you know, the woman would insult his mother, and all he would think of was how to sleep with her. You know, so if for anything, these stories were told so that people who are going through the same can walk away from that situation, I'm happy that I have done that. And lastly, my experience at the WSCIJ and the Report Women Fellowship got me a documentary that I shot while in transition about women who are physically challenged, who are exposed to sexual and gender-based violence. Where a woman who is complete, who doesn't have any disability, can be raped but has obstacles. These women are just raped. People just walk in and rape them. You know, so I heard stories about you know, a woman who was left alone two times over. You know, just because she's physically challenged, her property was even taken away from her. These things changed. I don't know about you, but they changed me, you know, and I was able to rally my friends and raise rent from one of these women. You know, this is one of the things that I'm grateful for the fellowship for. I could go on and on, but I'll end it here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Zainab or Isa Sani? Okay.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'll try to be as brief as possible, yes. So, it's very easy to focus on the big things, and for all of my life, I've always been a big picture person, work, work, work. And so, this fellowship, one of the major ways it's changed me was to begin to look at the little things, like beyond reporting, what do you do? Beyond working with interns in your newsroom, how do you actually make impacts? And that has been my takeaway from this fellowship. The fact that you do not need a title before you make impacts. And also the fact that beyond reporting, you must take cogent steps to ensure that as much as possible, survivors get justice and things change in the ecosystem. My story project was supposed to be about the VAP Act in Oyo State and how it has been applied, how it's making a change and all that. But I realized that during the course of doing the story, I spoke to the key persons and realized that this act, even though it had been passed by the assembly, had not even been assented to. And it was all over the internet that it had been assented to. So I kept on with the story, produced it, and eventually the governor signed the bill. But they could not publicize it again because they had earlier reported that the governor had assented to the bill. But that was major for me because it was the FIDA president in Oyo State. I was complaining about it bitterly, and when that happened, she was very, very happy with that. And then afterwards, I've been able to develop a relationship with the Oyo State gender-based gender reporting desk. They have a response team for SGBV, and we have such a fantastic relationship on dealing with issues. When I have stories, I don't just stop at the stories. In fact, these days, I look at a story and think, does this really need to go on here? You know, is it about the controversy worth of the story for me? Should this, I look at everything holistically and decide that sometimes you just need to direct them to the appropriate authorities, and only tell the story when you're sure that it's going to make a difference for the survivor. That was major for me. Now, my leadership project was about, we have amazing campus journalists across the country, and they are doing such amazing things. But you realize, I was concerned about what's the ratio of gender reports from these journalists, and that was why my training revolved around training them to be deliberate on the reporting of gender and sexual-based violence. We're able to do that, and I trained about 40 of them, I think, both male and female, and we had them learn about SGBV. I also went a step further to work with the women among them and began to be deliberate about mentoring campus journalists, especially the young ladies. And I'm happy to announce to you that today we have a relationship with UCJ Ibadan, where they can send 2 reporters on a yearly basis to our newsroom. And that's amazing for me. You know, I have one of them now, came in as a green or not knowing anything. Today he's one of our best reporters in the newsroom, even as a student. The major highlights for me of this fellowship, this is the last thing I'm going to say before I leave. The major highlights for me for this fellowship is the fact that as a leader in the newsroom, I'm the deputy director of news in my organization. I can be very, let's just do the work, you know, and keep it there. I'm not interested in anything after work. But through this training, I worked with this lady. I became more interested in their growth, their personal weaknesses and strength. And somebody who came to our organization as a core member, she looked like someone that doesn't even understand the basics of reporting, cannot do anything. But she left as a state correspondent for Agidigbo FM, and that was amazing for me. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Blessing to know. Bless us by making it brief.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Blessing. And before I got the mail last week, I've been parading myself as a fellow of of the Repelled Women Fellowship. I didn't know we had to be inducted for me to, but it's all good. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, so we'll just go straight. 3 minutes, it's not enough to talk about all of my experiences, so I just have some few bullet points to just help me walk you through my journey. Just like Doshima said, when that meal came, it was like a life-saving meal for me, and it was symbolic because of two reasons. One, I felt that it was coming at a time when I was in the middle of a midlife and a mid-career crisis. I didn't know what to do. I knew that I wasn't happy where I was, but I didn't know what to do. And that email came on my birthday, so I thought the stars are aligning in my favor. And then I came here, I came here, I was also broken, you know, and I had expectations. My immediate expectation was networking. When I saw the profile of the women that I was selected with, at a point I was intimidated. I was like, wow. And then I felt the need to be sympathized with. I thought I had the roughest journey, and I was desperately in need of validation. But then I came here and we had real life, frank conversations. And then I discovered that I didn't have the roughest journey. And then at that point, it was a defining moment for me. I had to decide what I wanted to do with my life. I think it was Doshima that said, nobody's going to sympathize with you. Nobody will throw a pity party for you. You would have to decide what you wanted to do with your life. And it was a defining moment for me. And then once I had to unlearn some of the things, you know, especially the idea of seeking for validation. I thought I was doing enough, and I wasn't getting appreciated. I wasn't getting validation, but at that point it was no longer important to me. And then I learned how to report, you know, women issues better. And yes, my expectations changed. I was no longer bothered about validations. I was focused on only things that were important, and I wanted to grow. I wanted to go forward. And that takes us to my next point. I became kinder to myself. I had always thought that there was so much that I could do that I wasn't doing and all of that. But then I started focusing on my growth, and then my expectations changed, and I discovered that I had outgrown where I was. I had outgrown where I was working. I was outgrown where I was staying. And I know growth for some people is moving to the next big job. But for me, growth came in the form of leaving the job that I was doing. And then I left Borno State and I relocated to Yola. And I am now building a brand which is called Blessing of the Northeast. Very soon our website will be open and you will see all of the work that we have been doing there. I want to thank my mentors. I want to thank Mr. Lekon Otufoduri. I want to thank Mrs. Alaka. I want to thank all of our funding partners. And I want to thank these amazing women. This is a network of women I can get vulnerable with, you know. We are open to each other, and I know how many of them have helped, even the website, even the media visibility that I have today. One of us here is instrumental to it. I don't want to call names because you all are amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So last but not least, Jennifer Adeze Ugwa. So I believe that shout means Jennifer will keep it brief. Huh? Jenny, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for the vote of confidence. I'll be very fast so that we can go for lunch. Okay, so my name is Jennifer Ugwa, and I'm an independent journalist. I'm based in Abuja, Nigeria, and I want to say thank you to my mentor and also to Mrs. Motunrayo and Mr. Tefedori. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here and to be a part of the Wolo Soyinka 2021 Report Women cohort. I've been tasked with presenting highlights of this fellowship for me, and I will stay on that course. And I will say that there are actually three of them. There are three milestones. And the first one started with the leadership training for me after the selection, which was amazing. The first slide. Thank you. So the leadership training actually, in this project, I was able to work with amazing resource persons to teach students, journalists in the University of Nigeria in Nsukka, where I also graduated from, about breaking into newsroom, not just when they are done, but actually as student journalists. And this aim is making it big as a freelance also, and also how to handle SGBV as a media professional I want to say thank you to everybody that was instrumental to that, my former editor and my mentor, and also my sister, Doshima. And after this project, I think at this point, this was when we conceptualized the idea of doing a story project. And the story project was going to be a narration about internally displaced women. It's important to tell stories of women, but also it's more important when those women are more vulnerable. And in this case, the story looked at how sex traffickers target teenage girls in Nigerian IDP camps. And we're able to track this ring of traffickers to Kwara State. So girls are moved from Benue State all the way to Kwara State. And they're actually lured by the promise of employment. And we found that also some of those officials in the camps, they were complicit in this act. So they would receive money just to send off the girls and give the parents peanuts. And we're able to actually put faces to the people that are involved and also the locations where they are. And after the story, it moves me to the second point, the third point finally, which is actually the impact. It's been used as an advocacy tool. We worked, for the story, I worked together with barrister Ruth Idahosa, and on the International Women's Day, the story was used to call attention to the plight of women and in this case, internally displaced women. And it's been actually instrumental also as an international awareness tool. After the publication, the story was used, was flagged or republished by an all-women media in the United States of America, Women Media Center. And it's also been an important tool of litigation because some of the narrations that were in the story, they were the first-hand and also first-time narrations captured. And the third one, which is the benefits. Thank you. Yes, the benefit for me actually are the amazing women sitting down here. So I've been given the opportunity to work with impactful and very concise and intentional women during this fellowship. And I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity that I've been given. Thank you to Wolo Soyinka Center for Investigative Reporting and also for my amazing friends. Thank you, Victoria, for being here. And two of my other wonderful friends that I'm very sure they are following online. And thank you for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, so that ends it. We move over to the next item. And what we're going to do next is to present certificates and a token, of course, to all the fellows. We're going to take the presentations now in sets. And the first set of presentations, the person to make the first set of presentations will be Mr. Paul Adeyeye of Open Society Foundation. Could Mr. Adeyeye please come forward? And then I'll call on the names of the recipients. So Mr. Adeyeye, this way. So we have the certificates ready, right? Okay. Okay, okay. Okay, that's Mr. Adeyeye and the colleague. Now, the first person to come forward is Doshima Veronica Abu. Your hands for her, please. So she's getting a certificate and a token. She'll be followed by Abimbola Adegboyega. Yeah, what? Okay, yeah. Thank you. Abimbola Adegboyega. Khadija should be ready. Thank you. Khadija Ishak Bawas. Kofoworola Bello Osagie should be ready. Okay, Koforola Bello Oksagi. Okay, that'll be all for now. Thank you very much. So we invite Ms. Motunrayo Alaka, the Executive Director, CEO of Oleshenka Center for Investigative Journalism, please. So she's making the next set of presentations. And for the next set now, I have Imabong Den. Next up is Anita Eboigwe. Anita Eboigwe. Chioma Ezenwafo. Chioma Ezenwafo. And then Titi Lokwe Olayemi Fadare should get ready, please. Oh, Titi Lokwe Olayemi Fadare. Is it? Sorry. Sorry. Thank you, Ms. Alaka. For the next set of presentation, let's have Professor Abigail Ogweze Ndesika. She is a professor of the Department of Mass Comm, University of Lagos. So next is Annetta Felix. Following Annetta will be Ann Chuka Godwin. Ann Chuka Godwin. Then Osaramen Ibizugwe. Osaruname Ibizugwe. Basi Ita Ikwang should get ready, please. Basi Ita Ikwan. All right. Thank you very much, Prof. To make the next presentation now, I'll call on Mr. Lekon Otufodunri, the Executive Director, Media Career Development Network. And the next set of recipients, Magdalene Michael, please come forward. Kimberly Blessing Wachuku, please get ready. Thank you. Kimberly Blessing Wachuku. Bolanle Olabinton, please get ready. Okay, Bolanle is not around. Bolanle is not around. So we call on Bukola Samuel Wamimo. Then Zainab Oiza Sani should get ready. Zainab Oiza Sani. Yeah. Blessing Tuna should get ready. Blessing Tuna. And sorry. Jennifer Adeze Ugwa, please. this stage, yeah. So, thank you very much, Mr. Otunfodo. Let's not forget that all the fellows will gather for a group photograph. I think that will be after the event. I'm not so sure this platform is strong enough to carry everybody, so let's not use it. Honestly, it's not. Now we have the award presentation. Of course, at this time, we're going to recognize the top 3 fellows whose works have been adjudged to be fantastic. Everybody's work is fantastic, honestly. Everybody's work is fantastic. But of course, the judges sat down and looked at some works that they considered exceptional. So, and this edition now is unique in every sense of it. 5 fellows will be rewarded for coming tops now in their story or leadership project. So unlike previous years now, we have winners for story projects different from the leadership project. And a fellow will also be receiving a commendation prize for outstanding performance in both her story and leadership projects. So all 5 prize winners will go home with a high-end laptop. In addition, the 2 first runners-up will receive a cash prize of 50,000 naira, while the 2 winners will receive a cash prize of 100,000 naira. I hope I'm one of those who will go home with 100. So, for the commended work now, who's making the presentation? Let me invite Ms. Adeshola Ayo Aderele, who is she's a seasoned journalist, of course, and a former editor-in-chief. Oh, sorry, yes, former? Ah, you left? Okay, former online editor with Punch newspapers. So, for the commended work now, for the commended works in both story and leadership project, let me invite Anita Iboigwe to come forward, please. Commended works. No statements. No statement, no time. No. Thank you. Congratulations. Now for award for story projects. The runner-up for the first story project goes to Titi Lokwe Olayemi Fadare. So Titi Lokwe Olayemi Fadare will go home with a brand new laptop and 50,000 naira. Congratulations. Thank you very much. To make the next presentation, I'll call on Mr. Paul Adeyeye of Osiwa to please come forward. Thank you. All right. We should wait for it, huh? Sorry, Mr. Adeyeye, let's just wait a bit. Okay, now the winning prize for the story project goes to Kimberly Blessing Wachuku. So she's getting 100,000 naira and a brand new laptop. So let me call on Mr. Laka to please come up. Yeah. So, Mr. Laka, you're going to join Mr. Adeyeye. Okay. So you're going to join him to present this winning prize. Congratulations, Kimberly. I think that's all. Do we have any other? Okay. Yes. Yeah, just stay, please. Yes. Yeah, please just stay. We have. All right. We move over to the next. I thought that was all. So, stand by. Now, for the leadership project, we've just done for story project. For the leadership project, the runner-up for the leadership project goes to Basi Ita Ikpan. And she goes home with a brand new laptop and 50,000 naira. So, congratulations. She's overwhelmed. Quite understandable. Congratulations. Congratulations. All right, Mr. Ade, you may resume your seat. But you stay. Okay. You stay. So, okay. Yeah. Oh. Our deepest condolences to her. She actually lost her husband during this program. You want to say something?
I just want to attribute everything to my husband because he encouraged me all the way. And it's unfortunate that he's not here. Thank you very much.
Our condolences. May his soul rest in peace. Amen. All right. And the winning prize for the story, that's a leadership project now, goes to Ann Chuka Godwin. So she goes home with a brand new laptop and 100,000 naira. Congratulations. Congrats. Thank you. You may resume your seat. You want to say something? Just very briefly.
I actually don't know where to start because I did what I did out of passion from what we were instilled here. I wasn't doing it because of the prize. I wasn't doing it because of the award. I did it because of the fire that was instilled in me. Then I desired to go back and transfer that fire. And I'm quite grateful and believe that some members of my Step Up Media network are hooked up and they are watching this. First of all, I appreciate WSIJ for this great initiative and its funding partners. Our seasoned mentors, I keep telling myself daily, I have never seen set of human beings like this. I say it from my heart. They unleashed everything from their womb and instilled it on us. And my Madam Alaka will always call him the mentor of Nighting Brigidim. That is Mr. Leka Otuforadi. So he's always been there for us. Sir, I can't thank you enough. And I'm sure our people out there in Port Harcourt, the Step Up Media Net.
I'm sure it has paid off, and it's paying off, right? Going by all we've had. So I want to say congratulations to all fellows on your induction. Congratulations to the winners of the day, all 5 of you. We celebrate you. We celebrate everyone, all 21 fellows, for the impact you continue to make in changing the narrative, both of gender, in your newsrooms and beyond, and particularly for the change you are, triggering, you are making on sexual and gender-based violence, which was the focus of the fellowship you are on. Our particular thanks goes to our founder, representative of the Open Society Foundation Africa. Thank you for making it down here with us. We appreciate your support. And just to reiterate again, thank you for your time. Thank you to all the special guests. I can't mention all names. We appreciate you all. The Wole Soyinka team, I'm fond of looking away from the hard work that goes into all of this. Thank you all for making this happen. Do have a beautiful afternoon.
So, just a final word from me. You're now fellows. You've been inducted. 21 of you. Altogether, we have 74. Now, it doesn't just end here, and it doesn't end with these awards. It doesn't end with the projects that you have done. A lot more you still have to do. So please, as you leave here, as you exit the program, know that you're going out there to make a change, a permanent change. And it doesn't stop. It should never stop. So that you're now a fellow does not mean, some of us never had that privilege. So maybe the Wole Soyinka Center would have to come up for fellowship for men. I don't know if it's possible. Maybe you'd have to think about that. But please, a lot. You have a lot on your shoulders now. Do not stop. Do not stop. Wherever you are, do not stop. Continue to make the difference. Continue to make the change. Continue to touch the lives of the young journalists who are coming up. That's what will make the difference. And that's the only way you can sit down sometime in the future and then you look back and say, yes, I did make enormous impact. Congratulations to all of you. And I wish you all the best of luck. For those of you who did not win any award, you're all winners. You're all winners. We're all winners. So congratulations to everybody. God bless us all. So we'll have the group photograph. We'll have the fellows with special guests, fellows with mentors, and then fellows with WSCIJ director. And then we'll have the fellows alone, and winners. I don't know how we're going to take the... Let me see. Okay, I'm not sure of this platform. So let's have the group photograph. There's people standing here. So let's have the group photograph. First set is fellows with the special guests. Special guests and mentors. Okay, let's take the photos first. Yeah. Let's have the group photograph. You're all sitting down. Oh, yeah. My prop. This platform is so weak. It's not strong. Yes. Yes. Here. In front of here. Maybe we take them up if possible. Yaku, I'll sit. Hmm?